Welcome to another episode of Little Talks, your weekly dose of marketing news and insights from Littlefield Agency.
Welcome to another episode of Little Talks. I am Roop, and with me this week is not Sam Littlefield. Sam Littlefield isn't even in town. Instead, I have with me
Claudia. Thank you, Brandon.
Claudia moves from behind the associate producer desk to the big desk this week because
Oh my gosh.
this is the sound effects. Brandon is on it. The good old days of sound effects from Brandon.
Yeah.
Sam's out this week. He's in Miami visiting. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. World traveler already this year. Sam is in Miami visiting with clients and colleagues, and I suspect having a really good time and avoiding all the snowy, icy weather we have coming this way this week.
Yeah, I was looking at Triple Vortex, which do you know what that is?
I don't even know what a double vortex is.
It's some sort of Facebook account in
Okay.
Tulsa, like northeast Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
They track all weather, like tornadoes, snow, whatever. And we're supposed to get a lot of snow tomorrow.
Do you think that Triple Vortex is just an account run by Katie Kite?
She gets all of her information
from there,
from
okay.
that place. I'd never heard of it before until her.
Katie is very much a weather aficionado, I guess. It's a weird deal.
Did she want to be a meteorologist at one point?
She might have missed her calling.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a big weather fan. Anyhow, Sam's out this week. We're going to move along best we can without him. It's tough, but
Yeah.
we're going to try.
Yeah.
So we have one topic this week, and we'll, I guess, get right to it. You want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have anything else.
We don't want to talk about Valentine's Day. That'll be like a long time ago.
Yeah. It was like, how many days ago? 3?
3 or 4, I don't remember.
Yeah.
It was
Even though
Friday.
your Valentine's Day was awesome.
We did okay. I had a good time.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a good Valentine's Day?
It was awesome. It was
It
wonderful.
was expensive, wasn't it?
It was expensive.
Yeah, it's a tough night.
Yeah.
Tough night. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for this week's topic, we have one, as we usually do. We have tips for crafting the perfect thumbnail for video, article content, etc., like social posts, stuff like that. And this may seem like kind of a rudimentary or dull topic to the uninitiated.
Yeah.
But for you, those of you out there who are in charge of social channels and content for your website, this one might ring some bells for you. This might, hopefully we give you a little bit of insight and some tips on ways to jazz that thumbnail up, because the thumbnail for any of the content you've created, whether it's on your website or on your social media channel, that thumbnail is how you get people to interact with it.
Yeah.
They don't know what's on the other side of a thumbnail.
No.
Nope.
And on YouTube as well is super important.
Very important. So we thought we would go ahead and give you some tips and some best practices for creating really good thumbnails that can help you get better engagement from the content you're posting online. And these will vary a little bit. Like we were talking about this before we started. You used to upload a link or a video or whatever, and it would kind of and it still does, kind of auto picks the thumbnail for you.
Yeah, from a frame of your video or whatever.
Or from your what's called open graph tag on your website if it's a thumbnail that's associated with your website link. But most channels now let you edit that. Yeah. So I know on TikTok you can customize it.
Reels.
LinkedIn even lets you do that now.
Yeah, and of course YouTube.
And of course YouTube. So when you can, it's probably a good idea to, you're not always going to pick automatically the best thumbnail for you to use. So try this instead. We have 6. There's six things to cover here. Can we get dings for each one, do you think? Okay.
Oh.
There it is. There's our first ding. Okay, so the first of the tips for crafting the perfect thumbnail is using a bold, clear visual. That seems kind of obvious until you realize sometimes the video is going to pick something randomly, or your open graph tag is maybe a group shot. Mm-hmm. And when you think about that group shot on a mobile device, you can't see anyone's faces. It's just a sea of suits or torsos or whatever.
And I have had this issue by making TikToks. When you scroll through someone's account, and the images in the front, like they don't look really good. It looks awful on your page and on Instagram as well.
You do the social for Littlefield. You feel like you're pretty critical of the thumbnails?
I do. I am very critical of them.
And we didn't even mention that. Scrolling through a feed is another way.
Yeah,
like if you're lucky enough to get someone to your feed and you're scrolling through, you really need to have a good thumbnail there. But on a bold, clear visual, the tip here says, using a striking image or focal point with high contrast, faces showing strong emotions like surprise, joy, or curiosity often grab attention quickly.
Yeah. And like back in the olden days of YouTube, people used to make outrageous faces or whatever they were doing in their videos so that they could get a good thumbnail image.
You know what I see sometimes is those cartoon googly eyes. That was a fad for a while.
Yes, that was a fad.
I didn't like it.
And it was actually like to create a high contrast, like it would, the image would look so bizarre and out of place. That was super popular.
It would bother you, but it would stop you from scrolling, which is the whole thing here. We're going for scroll stoppers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're after. Clickbait and scroll stoppers.
Yes.
Okay, so that is, first off, you want a bold, clear visual. It seems obvious, but quite frequently, especially if you're just dealing with whatever the platform's offering you up automatically, you're not going to get that. So try to avoid images that are just like a mess or look like are too far away, shot too far away. It's not thumbnails are not for documentarian purposes. You really want them to be jazzed up and represent some sort of concept that you're posting about, but like in an interesting way.
Yeah.
I've always felt like detail shots are way more interesting than wide shots.
Yes.
So
I agree.
Something
I also like to add variety. Like we have so many people that work with us, work in our agency, and I like to use different people. Yeah. Like I like it whenever I have a variety of images of different coworkers.
You're saying you just get tired of posting same thumbnail, me and Sam?
Sometimes it's literally just like, there was a point in time it was just you and Sam.
Yeah. We try to mix it up when we can, yeah. Okay. Tip number 2. He's been sitting on go for that one. You want, if you include text in your thumbnail, and I've seen this go kind of both ways. Some best practices will say don't put any text on. You don't need it because you've got a headline along with that video or that article that's already going to be representing whatever the headline text concept needs to be. But I've read others that say putting the text on the thumbnail, if it's big enough, like on YouTube.
Yeah. And I was scrolling through YouTube before this just to see like what people are doing.
Wait, you did homework for this?
I did. I looked at it. I was looking through YouTube, and it's pretty much all over the place. Like some people put text in it, but very few words if they do use text.
Yeah, this says here keep it minimal, 3 to 5 words max, and use big bold fonts with vibrant colors,
which is what they always do.
Yeah.
But on YouTube, you see the headline right next to the video. And those are what people, I think, are seeing now. Yeah,
and it's there. The headline's right there. I think the reason we're noting here big readable text on your thumbnail, especially on a platform like YouTube, is that you do look at the human eye tends to look at that thumbnail first before it starts reading because we don't like reading.
Yeah, I don't.
So if your eye jumps to that image first and you've got 3 to 5 words there, you're kind of getting making sure the headline or the concept is represented.
Yeah, and I think it also goes with Instagram and TikTok. I like to have a word, like whatever the video is about on TikTok, I like it on that thumbnail so that if people do end up scrolling through our TikTok page, they'll know exactly what the video is about.
Yeah, because there's no headlines there.
There's no headline there. No words at all. Yeah.
You're relying on the thumbnail. It's important. Number 3. This one's already come up a couple times, the concept of high contrast colors. And this is just using complementary colors to create some sort of visual pop.
Yeah.
Big bright colors like red, yellow, and blue often perform well for attracting attention. It depends. Like it depends on what your subject is and what makes sense to roll around with it. And I've definitely seen, like we use a tool called Opus to create clips, and by default they use this kind of obnoxious bright green.
Yeah.
In fact, you may be looking at it right now. If we ran this through Opus,
yes,
you might be seeing green text below. I think we've updated it to Littlefield blue now. Yeah,
we've made it our own.
But it started green, and I suspect because they found a really high contrast color for most thumbnails.
Yeah.
And I see that one a lot, the green
I do
default.
too.
Number 4, we're moving it along.
We really are.
Incorporate faces and eye contact. Thumbnails with close-ups of faces, especially those making direct eye contact or expressing strong emotion, drive higher engagement.
Yeah, I do think that it's better if you have faces like representing whatever the video is about. I think that makes people gravitate towards it.
And tighter shots of those faces if you can get them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if you're like me and Sam and you're a little vain and you're kind of worried about the thumbnails, there's filters for that stuff.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. Number 5. This one also seems like it goes without saying, but maintaining your brand consistency is important. Using your brand colors, logos, or recurring design styles.
Yeah.
So people begin to recognize your content when it comes through their feed.
And we have a template for our YouTube videos that we always use.
Podcasts, we have a template we use that has the headline on it. Usually includes me or Sam or Brenda. Sometimes you, never Brandon. Not yet.
Yeah.
But we try to have the same template and use the same one each week, just for, like I said, to build that kind of familiarity with it's our content. We're the ones coming through the feed here. Do you have a copy of that as well? So do we both have a copy of the template?
We both have a copy of it, yeah. I also just think it looks cleaner. People like that look of just consistency, like a clean look on a page, the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's
especially if it's like a podcast.
Most podcasts have some sort of kind of
template,
we realize. And this is a big one, our last one, number 6. You got to always be thinking about mobile. It's like 80% of the internet is consumed on a mobile device. Your smartphone, a tablet, maybe a car screen if you have a car that does stuff like that. But most people view content on mobile, so testing your thumbnail design at small sizes to ensure visibility is kind of key.
Yeah.
And that's where you don't want to, again, you don't want to overcrowd an image with a bunch of people standing shoulder to shoulder and stuff like that. We've done that a few times.
We have done that.
We're going to say to test, and it didn't work out.
No, did not work out.
So no matter what the group shot is, try to find a more interesting angle or perspective or thing to represent why that group's being photographed or in the video or writing the article or whatever it is. And think about mobile. Like you really got to get down to like a stamp almost, right? It's not quite a stamp. I mean, they vary, but And that's our 6 tips. Is there anything else you've thought of as we went through and talked about thumbnails? You do this every week, multiple times a week.
I'm the one choosing it, so it's whatever I usually think looks the best.
Right. We're relying on your personal style.
My personal style, but I do usually base it off of another page, and it's usually whatever. Like this is basically what I go after.
You do a lot of research on this stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about GIFs. Should we say something about GIFs?
Yeah. Actually, on TikTok, if you're going through a page, it's all usually a GIF.
They kind of animate as you go through, right?
Sometimes they're animated. And on what other place has a GIF? On a website.
On your website, we have a WordPress website, and when we share a link from it, we try to make sure that the image that pulls from that article, most of the time, not always, is animated in some way. So that'll show up animated anywhere a GIF will play. We used to be able to do GIFs on LinkedIn, and that was fantastic. And they killed it about 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, I would say so, like around December.
Yeah.
It was weird.
We were getting GIFs, we could upload GIFs, and it was, the point of a GIF is it's not really, it's not really a video, it's not an image, it's a moving image that's kind of loops, right? So if you're scrolling through a feed, you got a little movement. It's again a scroll stopper. I hated they got rid of it, and I don't know why.
I like a GIF. I always do.
Yeah. So we try to use GIFs when we can if the platform will allow for it. Otherwise, you've got to create some sort of still or something like that. But anyhow, that's it. I want to make sure we got GIFs in there because we were big fans of that for a while.
We were.
Is there anything else we need to say?
I don't think so.
You have anything any shout outs you want to do?
Any shout outs? Well, I was extremely nervous to do this, but
and you thought we were going to record tomorrow, but
I did think that, but I was like, if Chelsea Clement can do it, then anybody could do it.
Yeah, we were worried about some insane snowfall that's coming to Tulsa allegedly tomorrow and going to last a few days. So Brandon was real smart and came to us this morning and said, hey, what if we record today instead of tomorrow? So we're actually recording this on a Monday. You'll probably get it Wednesday.
Yeah.
We'll be snowed in.
Yeah.
You didn't have the prep you thought you were going to get. And that's why you look like Princess Leia today.
I do look like Princess Leia.
If you're watching this on YouTube,
your muffs and the whites, it's very.
you're going to get a certain vibe from Claude, and it's definitely may the force be with you.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's it. That's all I got. Thanks for checking. Thanks for coming back again this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys don't have to come back every week, and we appreciate that you do.
I do. I appreciate it.
If you've got some other tips for thumbnails or have some that you've seen out there you think are particularly great, drop us a note in the comments and we'll take a look and follow up with you next week. And that's it for this episode of Little Talks. Back at it next week with Sammy.
Yes, and then I'll be behind the camera again.
Brandon, play us out.
And that's a wrap. We hope you've enjoyed our little chat and found ways to grow your own marketing strategies. Remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow us on social media @Littlefield Agency.